All right, we got another fun article for you here. In Tennessee, two legislators, representatives, have been fired, kicked out of the House. Let's find out why. 3 were voted on to be kicked out. 2 were actually kicked out. The third barely scraped by with one vote. One vote making the difference. All right, let's see what this article says. Controversy has surrounded the vote by Tennessee lawmakers to expel 2 members from the state legislature after they and a third member, all Democrats, took part in a protest against gun violence from the floor of the chamber. The votes held on Thursday, April 6, resulted in Justin Jones and Justin Pearson being expelled from the Tennessee State House of Representatives, while Gloria Johnson kept her seat by one vote. All right, what led to the expulsion of the 2 Tennessee lawmakers? On March 30th, hundreds of protesters gathered at Tennessee's state capitol in Nashville, calling for tighter gun control laws after 3 9-year-olds and 3 adults were killed in a shooting at the Covenant School, a private grade school in the city. It was the first day that the state's legislature had taken up bills since the shooting. All right. First of all, they want tighter gun control laws. I wonder what laws they wanted. I wonder what gun control laws they wanted. Continuing. Protesters lined the hallways before entering the galleries of the House and Senate chambers, chanting and shouting. That sounds like an insurrection. Whoa. On the House floor, the 3 representatives brought proceedings to a halt. Wow, this is sounding a lot like an insurrection. Jones and Pearson led chants through a bullhorn as legislators instituted a recess. Man, this is January 6th all over again. Video filmed by a Republican on the House floor during the event, also a violation of the legislature's rules. Okay, violation of the rules, yes, but when something is happening, like an insurrection, and a bunch of people are coming through with a bullhorn and everyone's chanting and, making a lot of noise, pull your phone out. That's like, let's say a shooter ran in there and started firing off bullets. You're going to obey the no phone in the legislation room rule, or are you going to pull your phone out and try to get a picture? So that's a silly point. I hate articles that make stupid points. Democrats contended on Thursday, showed the 3 speaking on the floor as demonstrators could be heard in the background. All right, so these 3 people marching into the House and Senate chambers with a bullhorn or foghorn? Bullhorn. With a bullhorn, leading groups of people in chants. How's that different from the January 6th insurrection? This sounds like an insurrection. They have gathered in the House and Senate chambers to vote on bills, to do legislative work. And these people who I think are probably supposed to be in there, sitting down, participating, instead are riling people up and bringing in a mob and shutting down the whole thing. Of course they got expelled. Of course they got removed. They're inciting, I don't know if there was any violence, but they're inciting disorderly conduct. I mean, there's all kinds of laws they're breaking. Bringing people in that don't belong in there, that aren't supposed to be in there. All right, let's move on here. Republicans, who hold a large majority of seats, immediately pledged a rapid response. Johnson and Jones were stripped of committee assignments. Pearson was newly elected and had yet to receive any committee assignments. Okay, so he lost nothing. Motions to expel the 3 from the legislature were introduced by 3 different Tennessee Republicans on April 3rd, accusing the trio of disorderly behavior. Well, yes, that's true. If roles were reversed and Republicans were doing this, which they don't do, and Democrats were the ones expelling them, that's fine also. I mean, it is what it is. It's strange how these articles make a real big deal out of Republican and Democrat, and kind of they're making the Republicans look bad here in this article with the language. saying the Republicans have the majority seat, immediately pledged a rapid response, expelled 3 Democrats and all that. They're making it sound like a war between parties, but it's really just the actions of these 3 people were wrong and disorderly and not how democracies work. Of course they had to go. It doesn't matter what party they're part of. Anyway, all right, so the 2 people who were voted out. Justin Jones. On his campaign website, Justin Jones describes himself as a Nashville activist and community organizer. No activists should be in Congress. No activists should be in the House or Senate. That's not the place for activists. It's a place for doing legislative work and tightening up your shit, getting it together, and doing the work, and being very rational and sane. It's not the time for activism. All right, and Jones, we got a quote from him. "This is not about expelling us as individuals. This is your attempt to expel the voices of the people from the people's house. It will not be successful," Jones said before the vote to expel him. "You're overreaching. Your flexing of false power has awakened a generation of people who will let you know that your time is up." Is that a threat? Is that a threat of violence? What do they mean? Someone going to get killed? All right. Justin Pearson describes himself on his campaign website as a community leader and advocate. Okay, that's fine. In an emotional statement before his vote, Pearson referenced Reverend Martin Luther King's beliefs in putting conscience above rule. I mean, I'm sure that quote, that quote could be taken out of context. We really don't know what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was saying. I mean, those are just 3 words pulled from him. Pearson says, "We have heard from thousands of people asking us to do something about gun violence. What it is in the best interest of our people is ending gun violence." I don't know if that's a typo there or if that's exactly how he said it. But anyway, okay, how are you going to end gun violence? Like, what was the whole protest about? This is a problem with people, with a lot of activists. This was the problem with Black Lives Matter movement. This is the problem with trans movement. This is the problem with the gun control movement, is they don't have any solutions. They don't know what they want. They don't have any, what laws are they proposing? They just run around complaining and screaming, more gun control, more gun. What type of control do you want to see? Because we already have thorough background checks performed by the FBI. I had to get all my fingerprints taken. We've got restrictions on all kinds of, types of weapons and additions to weapons that aren't the normal. You have to be a certain age. There are already, as like, what do they want? What exactly do they want? Raise the age? You can't, add to the background checks. There are already thorough background checks, and if anything pops up, you don't get a gun. Like, what do they want? You can't, it's ineffective to be a part of a movement or be an activist if you don't have clear and specific laws that you want changed or added or removed or whatever. You have to be extremely specific and know exactly what you want. You can't just go around chanting a bunch of meaningless stuff. And so far, that's all I've heard. I'm listening. I'm listening to people on all kinds of topics. Like, they complain a lot, point out a lot of problems, but they don't offer a single solution. And especially these 3 people, including the 2 that got expelled, if they're going to be out there causing, they said, disorderly behavior, interfering with the House and Senate chambers, and they had to go on recess because they couldn't continue the legislation stuff they were doing. I mean, this sounds exactly like an insurrection. They all come in there with a bullhorn, chanting and making a bunch of noise, and they had to shut down. This is awful. I mean, they should actually go to jail for some time, I think. Not just get expelled. They should probably go to jail. And I'm not hearing from either of those people a single gun restriction law or policy being presented here. It's just a bunch of complaining. This is not progress. This isn't how you get progress. I'm glad these 2 people are gone. And supposedly this is a big controversial thing. I don't know what's controversial about it. You have two young guys. Let me pull up their ages here real fast, and then we're going to wrap this up. How old are these guys? Let's see. Justin Jones is 27, and Justin Pearson is 28. Okay. Oh, I see photos of them now. Yeah, it's a couple young kids that have no idea what's going on in the world. They have no idea how things work. They think that they're just gonna... I mean, who are they protesting against? They are those people. They were the elected representatives. So this whole thing they did, against who? Against whom? Themselves? Like, you are those people who should have been in there sitting down quietly, presenting a case, presenting ideas, presenting something to vote on, actually bringing forth solutions. They're like, we want more gun control laws. Well, you are those guys, right? You're the guys. You should have just quietly been sitting in your chair, and when it was your time to speak, bring a bill forward or bring something forward to be voted on and create some change. That's your job. That's literally what their job was. They did the opposite of that. They led a mob of people into the, government building and shut everything down. Yeah. And they're both new. It's like a bad hire. It's like if you own a business, you hire some kid who's like, you look at his resume, everything looks good on paper. You get him in there and he messes up big. First thing you're probably going to think to yourself is, oops, bad hire. Better get, already messing up that big, get him out of here. It's not the right fit. Not the right person for the job. Anyway, glad they're gone. Should probably fire more people. That's what I'm all about right now. Let's fire anyone who acts stupid and immature. Let's get all these awful people out of the government and get in some serious people who actually know how to do things and get things done and make the world a better place, and not just, chant about it and cause insurrections and get people riled up. Actually be leaders and do things. All right. Goodbye.